Dr. Lena Reese hadn't been back to Site Theta in 5 years. Now she stood again at the iron entrance gate, watching as it slid open without a sound. A wall of heat rushed out, dry and metallic. The old research facility had been shut down after the fire, after the disappearances. She never expected to return, but the call came 2 days ago. Official, cold, one word, containment. She stepped inside. The lights buzzed overhead. Most were dead or flickering. No one greeted her. Just a low hum of ventilation and a faint echo of dripping water. Her boots echoed on the concrete as she walked deeper. The place was buried under a desert plateau, a 6-level substructure carved into rock, built for genetic research, once considered too unstable for open labs. They called it the nest behind closed doors, not because of the layout, because of the behavior. She took the elevator down to level 3. It moved slower than she remembered. When it stopped, the doors creaked open. A figure waited. "Dr. Reese," said a voice. She turned. Major Eric Danner, military escort, tall, worn. His left arm had a visible scar from something with claws. "You came alone?" he asked. No one else answered the recall, she said. He nodded. "Then it's just us." They walked down the dim corridor. The facility was colder down here. Lena glanced at the scratched walls and remembered how quickly things had fallen apart last time. "What happened?" she asked. Danner hesitated. 4 researchers missing in 6 days. No sign of breach. Security footage wiped. 1 body found in the vent system. Half-eaten. Same pattern as before? He didn't answer. He didn't have to. She stopped at Lab C. The reinforced glass was cracked. Inside, overturned tables and spilled vials littered the floor. Blood on the wall. Dry. Finger streaks dragged across steel. "This was Lyle's lab," Lena said softly. "He worked with juveniles." Danner looked at her. "You still think they were animals?" "No, I never did." They moved on, down into the lower levels, into the dark. Level 5 had been sealed. She requested access. Danner opened it with a key he wasn't supposed to have. The metal gate screeched. Inside, the air felt thick, heavy with dust and something else. Decay. Lena turned on her flashlight. The beam swept across the floor. Claw marks. Long, deep. Not random. She stepped closer. Her foot brushed something. She looked down. A boot, still attached to a leg. She didn't scream. On the far wall, someone had written in blood, letters uneven. Desperate. They remember. Danner stepped beside her. They weren't bred to forget. "No," she said. "They weren't bred at all. They adapted. Truden was supposed to be extinct." Lena shook her head. They weren't extinct, just buried, and now they were awake. Lena and Danner moved deeper into the lower corridors of Site Theta. The lights no longer worked here. They moved by flashlight only. Concrete walls narrowed as they passed into older maintenance zones. Most of these rooms had been in use for years, but footprints covered the dust. Small, bird-like, 3-toed. They weren't made by boots. Lena crouched near a hatch. Scratched metal lined the frame. "They're using the vents again," she whispered. "They're not rats," Danner muttered. "They're playing with us." They reached the old observation chamber on level 6. It was half collapsed. The control panels were shattered. The security feed was black. But on the far wall, something had been carved into the concrete. A nest, drawn with sharp claws, etched in jagged loops. Around it were smaller symbols. Truden memory signs. She had seen them before. Not random, not decorative, communicative. "They're marking territory," she said. Danner looked around. "Or claiming it." A sound echoed from above. Scraping metal. Lena swung her light upward. The vent panel was open. She stepped back. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Every second here made it clearer. Something had survived the purge. Not just survived, grown smarter. Danner raised his weapon. "This place should be burned." "They just relocate," Lena said. "Truden adapted once. They'll do it again." They heard the sound again. From behind this time. Fast. Light. Something ran across the ceiling grid. Then silence. Danner signaled. Move. Quietly. They followed a narrow path toward the records vault. Lena hoped something there might give her a clue. Behavior logs, growth patterns, anything. Inside, the vault was untouched. Shelves lined with sealed data drives. She found the drawer marked Truden Phase 4. It had been broken open. Every drive gone, except one. She pocketed it. Then something clicked behind them. They turned. A figure stood in the doorway. Barefoot, dirty, eyes wide. Dr. Reese? It was Jules Marin, former junior tech, listed as missing 6 months ago. Her clothes were torn, her hands scratched. She looked barely alive. "You're not supposed to be here," she said. Lena stepped forward. "Neither are you. They let me live. I think they wanted me to see." "Who?" "You know who." Jules pointed to the vent above. "They're not like the others. These aren't animals. They watch. They understand doors. Codes. Routines. I think they even understand fear." "What did they do to you?" Danner asked. "They tested me." Her voice cracked. Then she screamed. Danner grabbed Lena and pulled her back. The ceiling vent above Jules burst open. Something fast dropped onto her. Claws. Teeth. Silence. No roar. Just the sound of flesh tearing. Then gone. Jules was gone. Blood on the floor. No body. Lena stared at the empty hall. Danner closed the door and locked it. "She was bait," he said. "They're watching every step." Lena held up the data drive. "I need to see what's on this." They retreated to the old comms room. It was buried under shielding, still partly functional. Danner secured the door. Lena plugged in the drive. The screen lit up. Footage played. A lab. A cage. Inside, a Truden. Small. Agile. Eyes reflective. But it wasn't pacing. It was solving puzzles. Metal-shaped puzzles. Button sequences. Pattern matching. The final log showed the creature unlocking its own cage. Then the camera cut. Lena leaned back. They didn't break out. They learned how to escape. Danner loaded a new magazine. Lena whispered, "We're not in a research facility anymore. We're in theirs." An alarm burst through the speakers. Not one from the main system. A manual override. Ancient. One of the original emergency warnings from the pre-fire days. Red light spun along the ceiling. A deep siren echoed through the halls like a heartbeat. Danner jumped to his feet. "That signal comes from core control." "That level is sealed," Lena said. "Not anymore." He cracked the door. The hallway was red. Every shadow looked like movement. Lena followed him, heart pounding. The halls were tighter now. Metal pipes ran along the walls. Scratches on every surface. They'd passed the access point for the old water tunnel. The hatch was open, bent outward. "Something came through here," Danner said. "No," Lena replied. Something dragged something out. Suddenly, a noise above them. Sharp clattering across the vent. Then a second sound. Another vent. Different direction. They froze. Danner whispered, "They're surrounding us." Lena pulled a signal flare from her belt and lit it. The red flame hissed to life. The first Truden dropped into view. It didn't roar. It clicked, head tilted, watching. Its eyes shimmered gold in the flare light. It moved like water. Each step quiet and precise. Danner fired. The shot missed. The Truden vanished into the dark. Then another emerged from behind them. It lunged. Danner caught it midair with a burst of rounds. Blood sprayed across the wall. The creature crashed to the floor, twitching. Another hiss echoed. Then a third. A fourth. They were everywhere now. Lena grabbed Danner and ran. They sprinted down the corridor. A claw slashed the air behind them. They turned down a stairwell and sealed the metal door behind them, breathing hard. Lena looked up. "We can't keep running." "They're hurting us," Danner said. "Not chasing. Guiding." "To where?" They reached the control chamber. Inside, the command panel blinked. "Still active. Lena rushed to it. "Give me 1 minute," she said. Danner stood guard, rifle ready. The screen showed the facility map. Heat signatures everywhere. Red dots moved through the walls. Vents, pipes, behind every room. Lena found a section labeled Biohazard Purge Protocol. "Can we trigger this manually?" she asked. "It'll fry the entire level. Oxygen seals close. Temperatures spike. Creatures inside burn. And us? If we're still here? Same fate." Lena didn't blink. "Let's set it." She keyed in the override. A countdown appeared. Biohazard purge initiating, 180 seconds. Then the door burst open. A Truden slammed into Danner. He fired twice. The rounds hit the creature, but not deep enough. It thrashed. Another came through the ceiling. Lena grabbed the emergency torch from the wall and swung. Flames met scale. The creature recoiled. Danner shoved the injured one off and slammed the door. They backed toward the elevator. Another Truden dropped into the room. This one was different. Taller. Older. Its face was scarred. It didn't move. It just stared, like it remembered her. Lena stepped back. "That one was from our original tests." "It knows you," Danner said. "I was the first face it ever saw." She pressed the elevator call button. No response. The countdown on the purge system ticked down. 60 seconds. The Truden tilted its head. Then it hissed. Behind it, more shadows moved. They didn't attack. "Not yet," Lena whispered. "They're deciding." 30 seconds. Suddenly, the elevator whined to life. A door opened. Danner pushed her inside. The Truden rushed forward. Danner fired his last shots. The doors closed. Lena screamed, "No!" A single claw stabbed through the closing gap. Then silence. The elevator rose. She was alone. Lena knelt against the wall, hand on her stomach, breath short and fast. Danner was gone. The door had closed too late. His last act was to save her, and she had no words left for that kind of loss. A deep thud echoed below her. Then another. Then a dull roar, mechanical and final. The purge system had activated. She imagined it. Doors slamming shut. Oxygen pulled from the vents. Temperatures rising. The shrieks. The clawing. The silence that would follow. The elevator reached the surface. The upper levels were empty. A thin layer of dust had settled on every console. The facility had always been isolated, but now it felt like a grave. She walked through the long corridor past blown lights and open doors. At the main entrance, sunlight poured through the half-closed gate. She stepped out. The air burned her lungs after days underground. A helicopter waited near the far ridge. Black, unmarked, 2 armed men stepped forward. They didn't ask questions. They just nodded. She climbed in. The pilot lifted off without a word. As the ground fell away, Lena looked down one last time. The desert stretched flat and dry, but she knew what was buried below it. They flew for hours. No one spoke. No one had to. When they landed, she was met by 3 men in suits. One of them handed her a tablet. She scrolled through it. A report was already written. Accidental chemical leak. Internal explosion. All research lost. All personnel unaccounted for. Lena looked up. "You already wrote the ending." The man didn't blink. "There are no creatures left argue with it." "Are you sure?" He hesitated. Only for a second. She handed the tablet back. "You don't know what they were. You never did." "Doctor," he said calmly, "we know enough to close the file." They gave her a ride to a military base. Clean room. Empty chair. She changed. Ate. Slept. 2 days passed. Then someone slipped a note under her door. No name, just a location. Chile, Patagonia. Mining site. Unexplained seismic patterns. Organic heat signatures. No known wildlife. She folded the note. Burned it in the sink. But the name stuck in her mind. Truden. They weren't gone. They were moving. 2 months later, Dr. Lena Reese stood at a museum exhibit, staring at a replica of a Truden skeleton. It looked harmless here. Thin bones, delicate claws, teeth like needles. The plaque described it as small-brained, fast, bird-like, one of the last dinosaurs before the extinction event. Lena knew better now. This was not a relic. It was a warning. Behind her, tourists passed without noticing. Kids laughed. Parents read facts off plastic signs. No one looked at the eyes. Hollow sockets frozen in silence. No one knew what those eyes had once learned to do. Her phone buzzed. An encrypted message. No subject. No sender. Just coordinates. She didn't open them. Not yet. Back at her apartment. The door was already unlocked. She stepped inside. Slowly. Quietly. On her kitchen table sat a memory card. She plugged it into her laptop. A video opened. A dim hallway. Flashlight shaking. Heavy breathing. Then movement. A figure darted across the far end. Small. Fast. Watching. The person filming whispered something. A name. Danner. Then the screen went black. Another clip began. A jungle clearing. Dusk. A strange nest carved into the roots of a tree. Then the sound of footsteps. Not human. Claws. The feed cut. Lena closed the laptop. She knew what the message meant. They had survived the purge. Or at least one had. Maybe more. They weren't just hiding. They were spreading. That night, she couldn't sleep. In the dark, she thought about the look on the elder Truden's face. The one that didn't attack. The one that remembered her. It didn't move like an animal. It moved like something calculating. She pulled out an old map, circled sites, closed facilities, old mines, recent earthquakes. She found a pattern. They weren't staying in one place anymore. She packed a small bag, supplies, batteries, torch, tracker. She stared at the screen one last time. The message blinked. Coordinates confirmed. Biotrace active. It was waiting. She left the apartment just before dawn. The street was quiet, but something rustled in the alley nearby. She turned. Nothing. A breeze. A shadow moved. Fast. Low to the ground. Too fast. She stared into the dark, then walked on. Truden had once been extinct. Now it was becoming something else. Something patient. Something that could wait in alleys and tunnels and shadows. And one day, maybe it would no longer wait at all. 2 months later, Dr. Aiden Cross sat in a cold office filled with warm lies. His field notes were sealed in a drawer. Every time he tried to submit a paper, someone from Hale's company intercepted it. Friendly emails, empty promises, then silence. He stopped trying. Instead, he gave lectures on fossil theory, safe topics, controlled subjects, skeletons that didn't move when you turned your back. But sometimes, while he spoke, his voice caught, especially when someone asked about predator behavior. One night after a long lecture, a student approached him, young, sharp-eager. "Dr. Cross, you said no dinosaur evolved to hunt for pleasure. But what if one did?" Aiden's hand tightened around his pen. "I've seen a lot of theories," he said. "But pleasure's not science. It's instinct. And sometimes it's worse than instinct. Sometimes it's memory." The student frowned. "Like trauma?" Aiden nodded. "Like a scar that never fades. A mind that remembers what it was. And what it did." The student left confused. Aiden stayed in the lecture hall long after the lights dimmed. He had dreams now, not of the jungle, but of cities, of claw marks on glass buildings, of traffic lights swaying over empty streets, of deep, heavy footsteps echoing through alleys. He stopped watching the news. Too many animal attacks in regions once marked by satellites. Too many hushed disappearances. One morning, he received a package. No return address. Inside was a hard drive. Encrypted. Old tech. He plugged it into his offline system. Video opened. Drone footage. Trees. Movement. Then a face. Elena. She stood in front of the stone wall. Behind her were cave drawings, ancient ones, showing horned beasts chasing men. Not hunted. Hunted by. She looked straight into the lens. "I told you never to come back," she said. "But I did. One last time. You were right. It's not just one." The feed cut to static. Aiden stared at the screen. The date on the file was last week. She was alive, still in the jungle, still fighting. He looked to the locked drawer, opened it, pulled out the map, folded, faded, but not forgotten. He didn't know what he'd do next, but he knew what he couldn't do. Forget. Some truths are too sharp to bury. Some monsters don't sleep. Some still walk.